Welcome back. All right, so I want to talk about the challenge, season 39. So, what's interesting is I'm enjoying this season, but of course, the first season I watched of the challenge was the Challenge USA over the summer. So, I hadn't watched it. I'm only 25 years late to the party. That's why that's on the board. Because, it's been going since 1998. I never really bothered with it. I've watched a lot of reality competition shows and I'm like, but it's so ridiculous. The challenges sometimes they're so complicated that Yvonne and I are convinced that at the end of TJ explaining this four-step thing, that somebody has to put up their hand and go, "Can you explain that again?" Because after step five, I kind of got lost on what exactly is happening. But it's entertaining, like watching them getting thrown around the tanker truck, and that's how far I've gotten into it. And I was like, I wouldn't get in the tanker truck. There's no way it wouldn't happen. Wait, that's filled with water? Duh. No, Final Destination movies start that way. So it is the battle for a new champion. I've seen complaints about this online. People are mad that the champions just come in to try to challenge them for their money. Now, where I will agree is this. I think that they build up their money and then the challengers have champions come in and take 10 grand at a time away. I think there should be an opportunity where, so if the champion comes in, they win the $10,000. However, in the event that the champion loses, I think the house should get $10,000 back. That's my personal opinion. I understand that that might go against the whole show's, plan of how they're going to run the season, but it does feel like even though one champion's going to walk out with more than $300,000, it's not quite that eye-popping amount of money that you would expect for a show. Clearly, with high production values, it's been around for a very, very long time. Thus, season 39. There's a debate about whether or not they're going to have another season of All Stars, whether or not the World Challenge is going to come back. And I do think they're stretching themselves a little bit thin when I look at how many different versions of this show there are. The CBS version, the Challenge USA, that's perfect. So they had people from Big Brother, people from Survivor, Amazing Race, and then you had Challenger champions as well. I thought that was fantastic. So one thing with this season, I understand that people don't like that there aren't champions in the house, and there's a lot of complaining about the editing. And apparently some of the cast have been complaining about the editing as well. They've basically been editing it to make it family friendly. So editing out a lot of the stuff that you don't want to be showing on a TV show if you want it to be rated PG, which takes some of the spice out of the show, right? People are like, I don't want that. My only complaint is a simple one. On the Challenge USA, and that was season 2 of the Challenge USA that I watched. You knew who was getting voted out. You knew who was going in. You had a really good idea. And on this one, when they do the deliberations and they sit on those bizarre couches out in the middle of nowhere to debate over who's going to be getting nominated, they talk, and it seems like there's conversations they're not showing us. So it might be, let's say, Mariah. All right, well, we think Mariah should be going into the arena. We're going to vote Mariah in, right? And then they show them going to the couch, and it's, okay, so we've all agreed it's going to be Raven. And I put my hand up, which is weird because nobody asked me a question. I'm thinking, so what happened with all the Mariah talk? And I'm just using those two names as an example. But there have been a few episodes where the deliberations in the house are ongoing, and then they show the voting process, and I'm like, okay, something happened between here and here. I understand wanting to make it a surprise, but make it make sense. And they don't. Olivia complaining about Horacio for 2 episodes about how he doesn't talk to her, and behind her back, he's basically said he doesn't have her back like he did before, or something along those lines. I don't know. I don't know if I'm following Olivia here, and it does feel like this season there's some paranoia that's there for no reason. But again, it's likely how they're editing it, because I'll see like somebody saying, "I can't believe this person won't protect me." And all I say out loud again to the TV, and nobody asked me the question, is we haven't even heard your name mentioned in deliberations. Ever. So who needs to protect you if nobody's going after you? Don't make a target out of yourself if nobody's going after you. But again, it's possible somebody is going after them and they've just edited it so that we can't see somebody's gone after them. Just makes them look crazy. So the lack of drama, the lack of people fooling around with one another, that's upset people. We kind of had a bit of that with Michelle earlier in the season. You have Nerys and Horacio too, but it's not the same. Like even the other season of the challenge I watched, there was way more hooking up going on in that one, and entertaining hooking up too, in that it was just causing all this other drama. So the show's missing that, but I think that's okay. I think the strength of the show is the challenges themselves, how ridiculous and over the top they are. And again, it feels like these champions are coming in. And one thing I think this show has I don't know if it hurts it or not, but it definitely makes it look like some of the champions they're bringing in aren't as good as some of the other champions. So when they bring somebody in and it's like, look, I'm so good and I'm so badass, and then they say, okay, this guy's great. He's eliminated 10 people in the show's history, and he's been eliminated 7 times. So he's a little bit above 500. Not exactly the resounding, and I understand these people are all in amazing shape. Like the guys are jacked, and the women too. Even Zaza, who's very tiny, eight pack abs. How I don't know how. I don't know how a woman who is so thin. I just it's impressive, and the concerns about if she gets to the final, can we beat her? I don't know, but so far it looks pretty good for her. What's interesting to me too is there's 14 of 17 episodes that have aired, and because of the way they've got this set up, that you don't guarantee somebody's going home, there's way too many people still left. So one thing that I do kind of take issue with the show about is because, two people go down into the arena, only one of them's going to fight. The champion comes in. The contender may beat the champion to keep that $10,000. And again, I think it'd be more beneficial if they actually won $10,000. But they stay in the house. Nothing really changes. And yet every week it feels completely different. Every episode feels completely different. I say every week, but I've been watching an episode a night. I want to get caught up before we go on vacation this weekend. So we're 1.5 episodes behind. We were watching episode 13 last night, and Yvonne was watching it partly from behind her eyelids. And I said, "All right, well that's enough because you're passing out." So I'll have to go back probably 5 minutes of the show when we resume that tonight. But of course, there's a 7:30 start in the NHL because that just messes things up. I'm just kidding, kind of, sorta. But anyways, I find it entertaining, and when I see people complaining online, oh, it's not as good, and immediately pointed to the ratings. Immediately. Well, the ratings were low, but the ratings have gone up. The rating was, I think it was a 3.5 initially in the most recent episode. I think it said a 4.9. So the ratings have gone up, and I think for anybody who's not watching is, Johnny Bananas is not, they just bring in the champions for one episode. I honestly think the champions twist is what I would do away with. The other thing I would change, I think the battle for a new champion is perfectly fine. I think you could do a second season of this, but there's 2 changes I'd make. One, I would not have champions coming in to play against them. It makes it feel like they're not as important as the champions that are coming in. Especially when those champions come in and everybody's, oh, wow, I can't believe it. This guy's amazing. This girl is amazing. It makes it feel like the people you're watching for the entire episode aren't as important as the guys or girls coming in who are going to fight them for the money. So that's one issue I have. And the other one is, so in the Challenge USA, you take a ball, you put it in the hopper, and you pick whatever name you want. And so somebody might have 11 votes and another person might have 2, but they could both end up going into the arena. Either or could go into the arena. I think, honestly, that's the way this season should have been done as well. There have been too many times where it's felt like everybody's a coward, everybody votes with the rest of the house, but if you had that setup where they could vote either anonymously, because that was something that worked in the Challenge USA too, the anonymous voting really got people paranoid with like, okay, who said my name? With the public vote, it just means everybody toes the party line, everybody votes with the house. You even see them like, well, I don't want to vote for you, but since the house vote is this, that's where I'm going to vote. Why? Like, what throws me off is, why does it matter? So if 10 people are going to vote for, say, Berna, 10 people are voting Berna, and I go, you know what? I'm going to throw a vote to Michelle. Doesn't matter. People get mad. Did you hear that? He said Michelle's name. Who cares? She can't go down there. It's not like the votes carry over. Like, people get mad over this, and I'm like, why? Who cares? You've got the majority. Just do it that way. You have the majority of the house, and done. So I'm glad to see. I did see a spoiler for episode 14. I'm glad to see that that does go away in the next episode. That the house doesn't just unanimously agree on one person, even if they're not unanimously agreeing. Like you'll see them going, I think it's a really good time to get Bob out. You know, Bob should go because he's better than us at all the challenges. And then at the actual voting, they're like, I'd really like to vote for Bob, but I'm not going to because all of them voted for the other guy, so I'm voting for the other guy. It's just, what's the point? I don't get it. But again, I don't understand the upset either. The absolute, the gall, the nerve. How dare they say my name? Yeah, it's the challenge, not the acceptance. I find it just odd. Maybe this is something that 39 seasons into a show makes perfect sense for everybody else. But to me, it's weird. Because again, if there's 15 votes and 8 of them go one way, who cares where the other 7 go? Who cares? Doesn't matter. And then you get that guy out, odds are the guy that you're getting out with those 8 votes, the people who voted against, well, he's gone now. So they have even less power than they had before. It also feels this season like the American alliance against the rest of the world. That alliance is pretty solid, and they're trying. I don't know if they're trying to hide it or what it is, but yeah, it's a pretty solid alliance. Sure, Raven's a little bit on the outside, but and I have to say, of all the people in the house, Raven might be the one that impresses me the most. She's fierce, and so again, I feel like the fact you have these champions coming in, it diminishes the standing of these challengers, and I think it's too bad. And I haven't figured out why Jay and Michelle are running the house. One thing with reality TV that I find so weird is somebody will go in at the start of a competition, be like, all right, so I'm deciding who you guys all vote for. Okay. He's deciding who we all vote for. We agree? Yep. All right, you're the leader. Go for it. Peg us off one by one. Oh, great, wonderful leader. Why? I don't, I don't, I'm old enough to remember in reality TV that when somebody comes into a reality show, goes, all right, I'm in charge. I'm going to tell you guys who to get rid of. People could be like, check out the dick over here. This guy's a complete and total jerk. All right, so he's out, right? And he's gone. The person who has this attitude, like, I run the show, they're gone. First episode, and they're like, I don't know what happened. You played the game too hard. Now it feels like, at least on this show, the people who are playing the game really hard, it's like, all right, cool. They're in charge. It's their show. Yeah, no, they're in charge. Why? Aren't you all trying to win the money? Why are they in charge? Shouldn't you get them out first? I don't know. It's just one of those things that kind of bugs me in the back of my brain, and I'd be interested to know if anybody else thinks that either. I've thought the same thing with Survivor. It's part of the reason I can't watch Survivor anymore. I got tired of it. I was like, oh, because I would see like, oh, this person's running the whole thing. Oh, look, they got all the way to the final. What a surprise. I blame Richard. Season 1 of Survivor, Richard did it. He did it perfectly. We all hated Richard, and then everybody followed in line. Big Brother season 2 is still my all-time favorite, where Dr. Will ran that house, convinced everybody he was working with them, and if he told you he was working with you, you were the next one out the door. And the great thing with the way Will did it was just him and Mike Boogie. That's it, two guys, and they ran the house. They ran the house. And it's amazing. And Will stood up and said, I hate every last one of you. I should be the one you're taking to the final because everybody hates me. And they all went, he's right. We all hate him. We should keep him around. And he won. So anyways, that was my favorite of all of the reality everything. That was just, to me, it peaked a long time ago. But let me know your thoughts. So here's a question for you. Your favorite season of any reality show. There you go. Also, Love Island All Stars has started up, so I'm probably going to be checking that out. Because if I don't, we're going to get like 40 episodes behind. I think there's like 6 episodes a day. But it's a fun watch. It's a fun watch, and I think the challenge has become my favorite. I'm debating about going back and watching old seasons. I'm debating about watching old seasons. So the question I have for people who watch the show is simple: should I try to find a streaming service where I can watch a lot of old seasons, or should I just accept what my viewing on demand gives me, which is there's 2 different seasons I'm able to watch. Although on MTV here in Canada, it looks like the challenge is on all the time. I just don't know if it's all sequential, and I need to know when to pick it up and what to watch. I would like to watch seasons where Wes, Johnny Bananas, and them win. Tori as well. Some of my favorite players. Because, again, on the Challenge USA, everybody knew they were champions. They were targeting them early, and then they just stopped, which I thought was curious. I'm like, no, no, no. You guys had the right idea. You need to get champions out. Oh, never mind. Never mind. You're good. Just keep going. And yeah, they didn't. So, anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you've not done so already. I'm taking a bit of a break from the life story videos. The third part of that has got dramatically less views than the first and second part. So I'm like, all right, I'll take a little bit of a break. I don't want to exhaust the audience with the same material over and over. So anyways, thank you guys for all your support. If you haven't already hit like and subscribe, please do. I will talk to you again soon.